Ride time is a fine time, but not if your kit's all stinky and your bike barely works. That ain't gonna get the most out of those trails. Nope, today I'm gonna run through with you a few pre-ride checks to help get you shredding as quickly and as best as you can. It's not always about your bike when it comes to getting ready and doing those pre-ride checks. Your kit is absolutely crucial as well. And making sure that you're packed and ready to go with all the necessities can make a big difference to how good your ride's gonna be. A little weather check can go a long way to helping you decide what kit you're going to need. But bare minimum essentials I say you're always gonna need are definitely your lid. You always gotta take a helmet with you without fail. And for me, a good pair of riding shoes make all the difference, especially if you ride clipped in. Forgetting those clippy shoes is an absolute nightmare. But if you've done that weather check, it can help you decide on things like possibly base layers, coats, shorts or trousers, and this can all be dependent upon the season, of course. But for me, I always like to think more is, well, it's more. I don't like not having enough kit with me or not being prepared, so having a big sort of choice of kit to choose from can really help me dial in my layers for what I'm gonna need that day. Things to think about if it is seasonal then, well, if it's summer and it's hot, you probably want a good technical tee, something that's gonna keep you nice and cool, a good sort of moisture wicking material to help keep you nice and dry and that air flowing through you. If it's the winter, well, then some kind of coat is gonna be required. I always keep a nice coat in my bag just to be on the safe side. It's got a hood that goes up and over my helmet, so it really helps keep out the elements. And then if you wanna take it a step further, look, I've actually got some lights in here because I like to do the odd night ride now and again, so I leave these in here, maybe take the battery out now and again to charge it. I've always got everything in my bag, so I'm well prepared no matter what the weather, day or night, rain or shine, that I'm always primed and ready to go riding. Your kit's all packed and on point then, you're ready to go, but what's next? Well, nobody wants to be that guy at the back of the pack gasping away because he forgot to bring some water, or constantly asking everyone, you got a spare bar, mate? I'm starving, I didn't bring nothing. No, really think about that pre-ride check of fluids and food. It's a real good idea to make sure you've at least got a bottle cage on your bike so that you can take one of these, a water bottle of course, minimum 500 ml, but something like that will get you through most rides. And the same for a snack. My trusty apple and my trusty chocolate bar, look. Just pretty small, easy to pack away. Make sure you've got something like that with you. Now, obviously, the longer the ride or the hotter the weather, the more food and water you're probably going to need. And don't let cold weather trick you either. Make sure you're still drinking enough fluids. It might feel cold, but you're still sweating away. So I'll always make sure at least these bare minimums I've checked are in my kit bag, ready to go. Bike check time. No pre-flight inspection is quite complete without making sure the trusty steed is up to scratch. So here are the few things and essentials I would say that you need to check over. First up is hopefully your only point of contact with the ground. Yes, your tyres and tyre pressure. To check this, one of these is super useful, a pressure gauge. But if you don't have one of these, don't fret too much. You can give it the old thumb squeeze or just go by feel. If you're riding along and you can hear it banging and hitting the rim all the time, well then you know it's probably a little bit soft and needs a top up. For me, my tyre pressures will fluctuate between 22 and 25 PSI depending on the day and what tyres I'm using. So if you've got a pressure that you kind of use and you know feels right, stick to that I would. Don't go changing nothing too drastically before a ride because, well, you could end up getting a puncture and that sucks. Nobody wants loose bolts on their bike or a rattly bike. So to check this, a great method is the M check. So starting down at the back here, we're gonna move our way up to the seat post, down, pivots, bottom bracket, up to the old headset, and then down to the front axle. Using this methodical method and with even just a pretty simple multi-tool, as long as it's got a few of the essential bits on it, you can go through the entire bike and make sure it's, well, up to scratch and safe to ride before you go out. Give your brake pads a good check as well. Make sure there's plenty of meat left on them to slow you down. There's no point going out for a raz if you can't. It's just a little bit dangerous. So give them a little once over, have a look inside there. You can either do it by dropping the wheel out or just looking down through either the top or the back of the caliper. You should be able to get a blooming good view. Up that check a little bit more in the winter because you'll find the sort of mud and the grit and the grime is going to wear your pads out just that bit quicker. So maybe just keep an eye on that one. I'm guessing you don't want to make life any more difficult than it can already sometimes be. And that's why a well-lubed chain is a happy chain. It's going to keep your drivetrain running nice and smooth and improve its longevity. Finally, the last little pre-ride check I'd recommend is just double checking your route, especially if you're going out for a big old epic. Just make sure things like the actual trails are open, there's no damage to any trails or trees down if it's in the winter. You got your phone charged up, ready to go, maybe a GPX file if you're exploring somewhere new for the first time. And if you can, maybe a little GPS head unit as well, just to help you guide and track your way through. That said as well, it's also worth having a few maybe emergency numbers or knowing a few exit plans where you can get out of your loop as well. But that's it, that's a ton of stuff for you to pre-check the next time you go for a ride. Hope it's been really helpful. If you've got any others of your own, well, let me know down below because I always like to hear them. But that's it. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I'm out of here. Catch you next time. See you later.